In this video, I just wanted to explain some of the teaching philosophy underlying my lecture and in general my teaching style. So one is I really care about engagement. So I want to make things as tangible, as real world as possible, even when I'm dealing with some very abstract economic ideas or marketing principles. And so, as you must have noticed in this lecture, I used the example of a burger shop in Brisbane to contextualize some of these ideas around economies and diseconomies of scale, diminishing marginal returns, revenue and profit maximization, things like that. The other aspect of my teaching, I encourage active engagement. So I am typically very reluctant to use slides. I think slides are useful in the right context, but teaching and lectures aren't necessarily that context. I think they can encourage too much passivity from students. And a lot of the learning then needs to happen offline because students aren't actually writing, so they're not keeping up with what's being taught. And so the onus is on the students then to go back home and look at the slides and sort of internalize what was taught at the lecture. I don't quite like that. I think that sort of renders the lecture a bit of a waste of time. And so I try, whenever possible, to use blackboards. The third aspect that I'd like to develop on is structure. So as you must have noticed in my lecture, I started out with a brief outline, even though it was only a 15-minute lecture, around what the goal is, what the different components are, cost and demand in this context. And so typically I will start out with a lecture outline. I'll have it on board always, and I'll come back to it repeatedly just to remind the students where we are currently in the big picture and how close we are to the end, which I think is useful.